So I want to welcome everybody to our webinar today on how to automate your financial processes. I've got a good team of guys here from Workato, which I'll introduce in a second. We'll go through the agenda for today is we'll have basic introductions with myself and my two colleagues from Workato, and then they will take us through the actual meat of the event, and we'll save some time for Q&A. As we waited a few minutes for people to join, why don't we get started and move to the next slide? So just to introduce myself, I'm the Chief Technology Officer for eSystems. Here at eSystems, we are a boutique low-code consulting company. We provide two great solutions. Workato is one of them, and we help companies really fix their broken business processes through great apps or quick automations. We also have Amarnath Mankar with us, who is a senior consultant at Workato. He'll be taking us through the demo. And I'm going to hand it over to Nico, who is the RVP for Central Europe for Workato. We're definitely glad to have him here. And I'd say, Nico, financial processes have pretty much remained the same in lots of other innovations in lots of other areas. How can the leading organizations really now take benefit of automation in the financial space?
Yeah, thank you so much for having us today here. And let's get into this topic. Maybe let me very quickly show you a short overview about Workato, that you see a little bit where we're coming from and where you can maybe better position us. And let's jump directly to your question. So maybe for those who haven't heard about Workato, we are the leading enterprise automation platform, ranked by Gartner the 4th time in the row. As you can see on the left side, we have today 11,000 customers worldwide on the platform. And actually, start of this calendar year in January, we put our cloud operations even here to Frankfurt, to Germany, in order to serve our completely EMEA install base and the EMEA customers and the growth within EMEA here from Central Europe. So basically, we're building up the DACH team with strong focus in the Nordics and Switzerland in order to accomplish this growth. You will see in our customer base, and we have some very nice use cases to share also on our homepage. We will talk today about some of them. On high growth markets. So for instance, Slack is using us with 1,600 automation across multiple use cases, but you will also find global brands, right? So no matter if it's Visa, Sony, Deutsche Bahn. So basically we come to Frankfurt because of Deutsche Bahn and have now all the advantages of the security to having in place, GDPR compliancy, but also have local data here in Germany hosted without any interconnection to the States. And this is exciting times. So since we are a low-code platform, think of this like a SaaS service for integration, automation in the cloud. And our strength is that we have around 1,500 out-of-the-box connectors. So think of closely every cloud system. It's quite somehow popular, but also on-prem systems are just the connectivity is there. You don't need to write connectors to connect to that kind of systems. You just log in with your credentials, and we make sure that everything is working, also scaling and operations has been done. And because we are using a large community, you can see that we have around 600,000 automations in place where you can just scroll through them and then take what you want to start maybe with, and no need to start from scratch. And you take this process, and Amarnath will show us in 10 minutes how this also looks in the product. And you take this automation, you change it to your needs, and you're ready to go. And this is, I think, a huge advantage compared to traditionally IT. I mean, I've studied computer science 20 years ago, have been forever in the space, and it's funny to see how things evolve. But Reggie, to your question, how this is benefiting around the financial sector, right? So I try to pull this together in one slide just from the beginning to give you an overview. So basically, order to quote and quote to cash as a fulfillment process is really one unique and very large use case we are serving across a lot of customers. So you can see here some labels on the right side, and we will talk about some of this kind of references. Select is using us in many different departments, also on the financial side. So automatically creating invoices to your ERP or invoicing system close to one opportunities in the CRM and synchronizing back successful payments is absolutely a hotspot in that area, what we are serving extremely well. Same if you talk about procure to pay. So automating these processes really end to end is here the challenge. And we have some very nice examples into this. Data unification and reporting, so seamlessly fitting the range of the financial data from the various applications into forecasting and budgeting tools. This is where we see a lot of improvement and a lot of speed, what you can gain there. And if the data is accurate, really a high value for the customer. And the same is also with billing and processes. So invoicing, for instance, would typically take, we can see 6 to 10 days to be completed in some manual tasks at some companies, can be really very nicely automated to sending out invoices, payment reminders, collection of payments, etc. So I think this is some key areas where we are helping the customer to get to the next stage. So maybe talking a little bit more generic about our customers today, this 11,000 you have seen. I think there is a very nice report out, we call it Automation Index, where we do this once a year. And we do this anonymously, so you can't see any customer names there or something, but you can see the use cases where customer really invest and what they automate. And we did a comparison for pre-COVID and during pandemic, let's say. And I just wanted to highlight you what is the absolute top use cases and what is the growth in these use cases. And you will see that account payable, for instance, are use cases that during the pandemic improved a lot, and people really thought how to bring this to the next level and what they can do better and how to automate stuff. The same what we see also with order to cash. And so we see some really, let's say, hot use cases. And in this report, you will find also applications who are attached to these. What are the top applications? And these are real data, right? So this is really what is on the platform and how customer are using this, what we can learn a lot of these.
Nico, there's a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Can you somehow utilize data mining to identify identical workflows, which could be automated?
Okay. Yes.
So
Amarnath, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically for data mining, Workato can obtain the data from different workflows, and it can actually send it to some tools like Celonis or some of the other AI ML tools, which can actually collate the data. These are process mining or data mining tools, which can actually analyze this data and then can send you the actions. Again, once you get those actions, you can automate the rest of the process within Workato. So Workato can start getting you the data for data mining, and once the data mining is done in the corresponding tool, you can use Workato again to take the necessary actions.
Thanks, Amarnath. And we will see later in some examples how we interoperate, let's say, with other services and how we can call them and getting the results back, as Amarnath stated. So yeah, you can think of also complex processes in order to do this, and it fits quite well. So bringing this a little bit in context, here you can see what is the ratio for the different kind of operations. And you see, for instance, that order to cash is really the largest use case in this, what customer are automating today, and let's say fix some broken processes. So Reggie, you asked me also to provide a view, what are the trends in finance and accounting today? And bringing this to the point, actually we see these 4 trends. So the first is really standardizing workflow processes across the different systems and bridging, let's say, the gap of different silos. The second one is really move towards a strategically higher volume activities. So get away from low value tasks and automate, let's say, these kind of processes, what you actually don't want to take care of. The third is basically also the move to the cloud, right? So get data simplicity and scale with the security. So we see a lot of use cases where people move now to the cloud, and there are new opportunities how to engage there. And the last but not least is, of course, about analytics, insights, and reporting, so that we see a huge space in automating these kind of data in order to bring them to one central point and have accurate data. So the, let's say, value what Workato can bring to the table, and I encourage everyone to go on this link here to the source. This a very nice report of automation statistics. You will see that companies who invest into automation, they really can up to 84% of their businesses using cloud automation have seen increased revenue and lower operational cost. And I mean, it's obvious, right? It's if you can automate the stuff and it's up and running, you can rely to these. So we see the benefits are really improve efficiency. So we can do more. We can free up resources and put them in that matter where it's the most beneficial for your company. We see an enhanced scale. So without adding more resources, we can do more. And also the platform can scale, let's say, up and down. You don't need to implement stuff. You don't need to provision stuff. You don't need to take care about the operational side of the platform. Increased speed, we can see that you can have faster turnaround times, and you can concentrate, let's say, on that what matters best in order to optimize your processes. Boost accuracy. So of course, if we take out human processes, we reduce enormously the ratio of maybe some errors, and some of these errors can be also quite expensive. And I believe that the last one is really unlocking the savings. So increasing the processes is somehow can really be measured with hard dollars by the end of the day. Yeah. So how is this working now in some real scenarios? Think of these like you have your supporting system, and you remember at the beginning we said we have the connectivity to the 1,500 connectors. By the way, the company strategy here is to, in the next 2 years, to move to 10,000 connectors. So no matter what kind of systems you have in support, in payments, in your CRM, in payroll and expenses, think of connecting through the Workato automations here, and we will see in a minute how it looks like, to your financial hub. So no matter if you're using NetSuite or SAP, you can then engage with a collaboration layer. And this is through all the processes. So if we talk about quote to cash or compliance use cases, procurement use case, or financial reporting, then all these kind of processes are touching several of these kind of systems. And Workato takes care about to keep everything in sync and that everything is working and the information exchange is just there where you want it. Yeah.
Okay. Great. This looks really exciting. Can you give us some practical examples as how some of the companies have solved some of these problems?
Okay, so maybe let's look into 3-4 use cases, very concrete, And then maybe we ask Amanda to give us a short overview about the product that you see this also in live, how this interact. So basically, look at Terminus. They really automated for the invoice and billing processes. And as we can see here, also the quote from Russ at that point, that he was now able to have this 100% tracked and automated, what was really a pain before. So we are coming from Salesforce basically and syncing the data to the trade desk and syncing also to the online warehouse, to Snowflake, and then bringing the data back to the ERP system, to NetSuite, and to the financial systems. So by automating invoice and billing, and I think it's a very standard process within every organization. If you haven't done this 100% automated yet, it's a very good place to look into this. This is also a nice example from Malaysia. Here you can see that Shui Mi just stated that they're actually started with something, but they realized it can do so much more with the platform and automate so much more stuff. And this is, by the way, really, let's say, real life scenarios, what we see, that people start on the one corner and then they can see how easy this is to expand. In that case, for instance, they really go into the POS systems, so point of sale systems with all the outlets, and the synchronize back the data also to ERP, the finance and the CRM system within NetSuite. And they could achieve, I think, eliminating some errors from previous processes, etc. So could really automate this kind of processes. I also brought with me Rapid7, who had really log and manual processes as a problem in order to process orders, and the processes was broken. Really like the quote from John, who said, speed to market with Workato is infinitely faster than we actually thought or we have seen out there. And this is not a trivial process, right? So if you look like from Salesforce, taking the information to NetSuite, and then also having the bot interaction. So in our platform, we have an out-of-the-box bot capability. We are working with Slack and Microsoft Teams, for instance, and Facebook Messenger. So providing these for approvals and getting to the next step, getting back to the fulfillment to the system, going back to their cloud, then taking care about the provisioning the customer and bringing everything back to the ERP system. And then also going for billing and RevRec is, let's say, a very nice cycle, what they could achieve here with a lot of savings and also much better turnarounds. Pharma logistic is also quite interesting in order how they really connect and automate expenses reports, cross payroll and accounting. And as you can see here, with the event triggering the in-house system, they feed the SAP Concur. They even reach out to the paycheck system, right, with invoices sent to the customer, and automatically creating these kind of reports also towards Oracle NetSuite again, and then even updated the customer account details. So we see Naveen on that side, who was really starting stabilizing this environment where they had a lot of headaches and operational issues and couldn't keep up with actually the work what was in front of them. And I have two last examples, very, let's say, easy or simple use case, but I think a lot of value into this. For instance, Adevinta had really trouble to analyze and get financial insights and from the right time to the right place, and then have the figures what they need. So I think there's a lot of use cases where you actually can load data from CSVs and maybe sync them with some internal, external data stores, databases, etc., and then just analyze this on your favorite tools. If this is MicroStrategy, if this is Tableau, or if this is anything else you're using. So fetching this data, bring them to a point and be able cross-silo to operate, I think is a very, very valuable use case. And the same is also with, and this is maybe also a little bit a question through the chat. So maybe not on OCR directly, but you could use, let's say, different kind of processes or PDFs. And I believe everyone have PDFs in flying around in their company, and use then different kind of web services in order. This is, for instance, the doc parser is passing through the document, but we could orchestrate, let's say, also very different variety of technology in order to make sense out of the processes, and then automatically get then the orders in the right, let's say, shape to the ERP system, and then from the ERP system to be able to go for payment processes or to store invoices on Box or any cloud solution in order to be interoperability, let's say, with different other systems. So this is just a few examples, and I will not go into these ones, but these are all, let's say, different kind of pillars where companies have automated with Workato systems. So wherever you go through the source to pay or order to cash or treasury or tax, let's say, pillars, you can all think in this kind of boxes and processes. What is automated today? What is maybe high value for your company to automate? And then start from there and design this kind of process, how it should like, and how it should be. And I think it's quite easy for us to demonstrate you how the flow would be and how the process could look like. With that, I believe it's worth to look into the platform and ask Amanda to give us maybe a short presentation how this looks in the product. So basically, we call our automations recipes. So we built one recipe to solve a particular problem. And as you can see here, a recipe has a trigger. It's basically event-driven platform. And then there is a lot of actions what you can consume in order to get exactly your workflow in place and to build your automation, how you aim to have this up and running. I think the nice thing in our tool is that even non-technical people, very skilled IT people can read through this, understand the flow of this. And this is also how you can build really very complex environments, and you can bring them production and up and running. So Amanda, if you want, I would give you here the rights in order to bring us through the demo. Let me see how I can make you host here. So you should be able maybe to share the screen.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. So
Thank you.
Let me share my screen. I hope you guys can see my screen now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes.
Oh. So let me quickly walk you guys through a quick demo of Code to Cash today. So in this demo, what we'll be doing is, it's a simplified version, of course. So in this demo, what I'll be looking at is whenever there's a new or updated opportunities, closed one in Salesforce, we'll look up for additional information again from Salesforce, like the opportunity products and the accounts, etc. in Salesforce. And then we'll go ahead and create the sales order in NetSuite. Of course, before that, we would check the customer in NetSuite. If it is not there, we'll go ahead and create it, and as well as check the inventory items in NetSuite and create that as well. And finally, we'll send a notification to approval for the sales rep to approve the corresponding sales order in NetSuite, right? So, so when the user receives a notification on Slack or Teams, he will also have a button to either approve or decline the order right from Slack or Teams. And then he can either approve or decline the order. Based on his feedback, the sales order will be approved and updated in NetSuite, and will the feedback will be sent back to the representative again back on Teams or Slack channel, whichever he's using. And the middle part you can see is the recipe or the Workato engine, which is taking care of all these things. Okay, let me stop sharing and share the platform again. I hope you guys can see the platform now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so this is the platform. A quick walkthrough of the platform. It is completely browser based. You need not install anything. All you need is access to a workspace, and then you can start building your different recipes. So as Nick already mentioned, recipes is nothing but automations and integrations you build in different scenarios, and then those we call them as recipes. The other asset we track in the platform is the connections. Connections is like connecting to your different applications. It could be cloud applications or on-premise applications or even your custom applications, etc., from which you want to integrate with and automate your process. So let me quickly jump into the recipe. Before that, I just want to show you projects. Projects is a way to logically group your assets and manage access controls, assign roles, and manage the governance and data quality across the platform. So here I will show you the recipe which I just showed you a couple of minutes before, where we are trying to automate the opportunity to sales order from Salesforce to NetSuite. So here in this case, my CRM system is Salesforce and NetSuite is my ERP system. So as Nick already mentioned, we have two main things. That is the trigger. Trigger is nothing but the starting event which will trigger your recipe, which will start your recipe, right? Which will start your automation. It could be event within an application like Salesforce or a database. It could be even files, a new file, a new PDF which you want to read, or it could be even some new opportunity or a new lead, etc. Anything within the application, right? And it could also, you could even schedule these recipes to run on regular intervals. You could even execute this recipe just from a single command from Slack or Microsoft Teams, etc. So we have a lot of we can cater to a lot of different variety of events in the trigger action, right? Then followed by that, what we are doing in actions. So in the actions, we are getting the details of specific account for the corresponding to the opportunity. In Salesforce, we are getting the corresponding account, and then we are upserting the customer in NetSuite. So what upsert action does is it will automatically check if there is a account with this unique key, whatever we have specified is already there. In this case, it's the account ID. And then if it is not there, it will go ahead and create it. If it is already there, it will just update the existing customer. And then next, what it's doing, it's getting the opportunity products. So whatever products we have in Salesforce, we are getting them looping over them, and we are putting them as inventory items in NetSuite. So again, upsert action, because we don't want to create duplicate items. We just want to update if it's already there and create if it is not there. And finally, we are upserting the sales order in NetSuite with all the relevant information, with passing all the data from Salesforce, including the opportunity products and accounts. And then we are verifying to check if the sales order is already approved. And then there is a condition to check whether the approval has been done or not. So if not, then we post a message on Slack to get the opportunity approved. So let me quickly go into Slack here, and let me try to generate an opportunity. I'll say Salesforce generate opportunity. It's asking me for the account name. Let me just keep dummy account. Next, it's asking me to provide the product, choose the product. I can choose any product here. Let me choose the first one. And now it's asking me to give the product quantity in the pop-up. So I'll just say 5 and submit. So it says opportunity successfully created and it's giving me a link. So if I click this link, it's actually taking me to Salesforce, and it has created the account, which I just opportunity, which I just gave. And it has also created a corresponding account in Salesforce, and it has put the product with the quantity I just gave, right? So you saw with just one click, I was able to, with just one command from Slack, I was able to create a new opportunity, and it also gave me options to choose what I want to be in the opportunity, right? Now for this recipe to run, you see that there is a condition that the stage should be equal to closed one. So I'll go back to my Salesforce and update the stage of this opportunity to closed one. Save it. Okay, it's closed one. Now if I go back to this recipe and look at the jobs, it is so we have different types of triggers, like some are poll triggers, like it'll look for events in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Some are real-time triggers, like as soon as the event happens, it will automatically process. This is more of a poll trigger, like it will look for events in the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So since I didn't want to wait, I can just click on check for jobs now. It'll automatically check for jobs and it'll process it. So I can see there is one event here, which is processing. So I can click on this. So it says successful, it has processed it. So I can click on this event to see the input, output, and also debug how much time it took. I can scroll down and verify any step to actually see what exactly has happened. And finally, I can debug and monitor this as a support team. And also I can see that there is a message onto my Slack team, Slack channel, that there is a new order 372908. And this is it's giving me some options. And finally, if I go back to my Slack in my sales channel, I see that there is a new NetSuite sales order, which is requiring approval. And I can click on this link to actually open the NetSuite order. While that opens, I can go back here and actually check the logs and figure out what I want to do and etc. Right? So it has created a new webinar demo account here. I can see the start date is today, and if I scroll down, I can, in the items, I can see the item, and the quantity which I gave was 5. So it has copied that, and the same amount has been copied, etc. Right? Now, if I look into the code approvals, it says requires sales manager approval, and the sales manager approved is yet to be done. Right? Now, as a sales rep, I'll go back to my Slack channel, which is my day-to-day activity. I can just click on approve here. Okay, it says thanks, sales order approved and ready for shipment. So I can just refresh this page. And if I go to code approvals, now you can see that the sales manager approval is checked, right? So you can now further extend this demo to even integrate with your payment systems, just like Rapid7 did, or even your customer provisioning system, if you want to, if you're using a separate customer provisioning systems, etc. Right? So this was one of the common processes which were automated in different some of the common automation. Similarly, you can see that we can do procure to order here. So in this case, the systems are Coupa, NetSuite, and Coupa is the systems where the people or business can request for order. So whenever there is a new purchase order in Coupa, it correspondingly creates a purchase order in NetSuite, and it does a lot of things like getting the purchase items and also getting the sales orders, etc. And finally creates the in purchase order in the ERP system, that is the internal ERP system with the purchase order, right? And then we have the second recipe, which also takes the purchase order and also creates a purchase order in SAP, where SAP is the supplier end system, which will receive a new purchase order to actually process whatever item the user has requested, right? And finally, once the item is received in Coupa, you can send an update back to NetSuite to create a inventory receipt. so that saying that the purchase order has been received, and you proceed with the next step, that is the payment. So then we can further enhance this recipe. We can add another recipe once the receipt is received, call SAP to process the payment with the supplier, right? So this was just a quick demo on how we could automate some of the financial process. We could there are many more use cases, as Nico showed, like accounts payable, some of the simple invoice processing, and I just showed you procure to order and quote to cash processes, etc. Right. Cool.
That's
That's it
great.
from my
Thank you, Amanat. So maybe if you'd like to give me the presenter rights back, let's finish this with two slides. So basically, maybe you ask yourself, so why Workato and what we bring to the table? So I basically hope that we could demonstrate the low-code platform and how easy it is to think through the process, and then the platform is taking care of everything who is happen behind the scenes. I think it's quite interesting that before that you need really high-skilled IT people to deep into the integration capabilities and sync the different data across to get this streamlined. And it's so nice to see today how, let's say, business people together with the service owner can really pull the data together and test the recipes, build the recipes, and put it into production without taking care of all these kind of infrastructure. In general terms, and we can share the report, so we are at Gartner and Forrester on the 4th year in the leader quadrant only for the topic for UiPath, because you need this high capabilities for the integration piece. But still, we have other pillars within the platform, like the bot technology, the workflow. We are covering ETL, ELT, so everything around data transformation, what you need to fetch the data. So I think it's a very reliable platform. You see some quotes from the customers here, especially at Broadcom, attested us that we are 10 times faster than traditional UiPath vendors because of the low-code capabilities. And I believe, and we don't want not to touch on that topic, it's also worth to mention that many companies today use RPA, right, for automation. And maybe you start thinking, okay, where it starts, where it ends, and where Workato fits into this. And this is just an example for RPA now based on UiPath. But this is how you can think of. So basically, we are API driven, right? And we are an API driven platform. So everything who goes towards doc processing, what we also do, but you could do with RPA, more towards legacy application and to getting the information really from the screen and go towards screen scraping and manual actions. This is the area where our RPA is strong and to have, let's say, a good value proposition. Everything else, if you go towards human tasks with the bot platform, what we show, or if high data volumes, because over the API integration, you can really transact very reliable and high data volumes. If it goes around API endpoints, data synchronizing, ETL, ELT, but also modern cloud applications. So this is where Workato's strength is absolute there, and you will see a lot of benefits in using Workato, since you don't need to take care about upgrades. Your application will not change over the time. So if it changes, you don't have to touch on these kind of recipes and processes what you have automated already. So I think with that, we want to wrap this up from our side. And I really can only encourage everyone who likes to reach out to your partner, to eSystems, and ask us to give you a personalized demo on your use case, and just share whatever you have in mind, what could be a great thing to automate within the company, and let us surprise you a little bit what we can actually do with the platform. Thank you from my side.
Okay, great. Thanks both of you guys for a great session. Really appreciate it. We kind of have 1 minute for questions. So if you would like to add any, ask any additional questions in chat, please do so. Nico, I would add to this previous slide that you had before that business process orchestration is definitely a strong point, in my opinion, of Workato that you will not get with RPA tools at all. They don't touch that space. And so this is, to me, one of the biggest benefits also of Workato.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for that.
And if there are no more questions, then we will end the session and give you guys back the rest of your day. Hopefully you found the information quite beneficial, and you can see new opportunities for how to make your organizations more operational efficient and get more out of the data that you already have. Thanks, and please contact me to arrange further sessions.